Ancient Demon Lord Rimuru by Mertinator1905. 23. The Little Sheep and the Second Mediator. The cardinal world was filled with all sort of creatures, from weak goblins and rabbit men to the mighty true dragons. There was one rule which was shaping everyone's life, and even the children knew about it. The survival of the fittest. Every monster fought for himself. Some races like ogres get together in small villages to defend themselves. But they didn't complain about it as they fought, as they lived for the fight and the honor that will come with death on the battlefield. The humans on the other side weren't that eager to fight. Only if there was a fortune to prey on did they engage in battles, out of greed. But there were some special individuals who never felt threatened for their existence. True dragons, primordial demons and magic-borns who completed the evolution into an awakened demon lords. They were too strong to be challenged, and if they were, they could simply wipe the enemies away in the blink of an eye. Luminos Valentine, the vampire queen created by the divine ancestor and an awakened demon lord, never felt fear. She knew she was strong, and she didn't even have to worry about the safety of her servants, as she could simply revive them, assume she was nearby when it happened. She knew that there were individuals like the true dragons and the primordial demons, especially Guy Crimson, but they weren't the kind of people to attack you out of the blue. Furthermore, she always thought that Dagruel was her only worry. When she was invited to join the Demon Lords, she felt excited and proud of herself, despite not showing it. Her strength was acknowledged by the strongest of this world, and she was invited to join the Demon Lords to rule over the cardinal world. When she arrived to the place where the Walpurgis will be held, her jaw nearly dropped. It was a paradise. But she was too proud to admit that, as she knew that her love rival Rimuru must have been responsible for this place. She took her seat and the Walpurgis started. Guy Crimson seemed to be in a hurry as he rapidly told them everything important and surprisingly announced that Rimuru will be the one to grant them their names. Queen of Nightmares would be fine. Luminos thought to herself. She heard that some humans called her that way, and she didn't dislike it. When Rimuru announced that she will be known as Newbie, she was enraged. Never in her life has she been insulted like this. But to her annoyance, Guy seemed to approve with this title and sent Luminos a cold glare, which made her shut up. She knew that nothing good will come if she were to start a fight here. She swallowed her pride and sat back down. Because of this, she didn't even felt like eating something. The dishes looked fabulous, but she had something else in mind. She stood up and demanded to see Chloe and Hinata. She didn't know if they were treated well and wanted to check up on them. Maybe she could even persuade them to return home with her. Although hesitating at first, Rimuru accepted in the end and teleported her away. Or so Luminous thought at first. It didn't felt like teleportation, but rather being sucked in. It felt weird, and she was happy when she arrived at her destination. Where did it go wrong? What did she have to do better? All she wanted was to vent off a bit about that IDI lovable slime who did nothing but make her feel happy. Although 2 weeks had passed since then, Luminos still hasn't left her room and was in her bed, tucked in the sheets, shuddering even when imagining what happened. Those red eyes still followed her even here. It was when she saw them that she knew how insignificant her existence was. She couldn't move or even make a sound. She was petrified and stood there like a little sheep waiting for her predator to hunt her down. After surprisingly escaping that place alive, she made herself a promise she would never ever break. Never ever threaten or insult Rimuru. Achoo, Rimuru sneezed. Rimuru-kun, I didn't know you could get sick. Belzard asked. I can't. I think somebody must be thinking about me. Rimuru simply shrugged it off. Sister, I think it was rather because of your unpleasant, cold aura. Maybe it would be best if you could leave and not bother us with your presence, what do you say? Belgrind said. Belgrind, since when does Rimuru belong to you? He is a good listener and I want to talk to him, so it is you who shouldn't bother. Belzard said with a smile on her face, but her eyes were taunting Belgrind. Oh. So that's why he is so happy when we leave the frozen continent, then. It seems that you bore him so much with your stories that he is happy when he can get away from you. Is that so? I heard from Guy that he was unusually cheerful at the Walpurgis. It must have been a good feeling to be able to get rid of you even for a small amount of time. What are you talking about? When he was at the Walpurgis, I was in a place you could never ever dream of going to. Belgrind said with a smug face. What kind of place? Belzard asked, interested. Didn't Rimuru tell you about it? Of course not, that place is too beautiful to be corrupted by your presence. Belgrind further continued taunting Velzard, who started to lose her composure. It seems like Veldora isn't the only stupid little sibling I have to discipline, Maybe I can knock some sense in you if I start now. Velzard said, and stood up, readying herself for the fight. You think so? Today I'm going to show you that I am stronger than you, maybe you'll be reborn with a less arrogant personality once I'm done with you, sister. Belgrind said, who also stood up and took her battle stance. But right as they were about to start their devastating fight, Rimuru stood up and walked in between them. Rimuru, get out of the way, I have to teach this little brat some manners. Velzard shouted. Yes, Rimuru, get out of the way. I have to beat her arrogant nature out of her. Belgrind also said, not wanting to be one-upped by her sister. Despite their protests, Rimuru simply stood still and glared at them before speaking up. No cakes, sweets or any kind of books and entertainment for 2 weeks for you, Velzard. Wait, what? Velzard asked, devastated. Hee, that's what you get. Belgrind triumphed, but shut up when Rimuru looked at her. And for you, you're not allowed to visit that place for the same duration. This time it was Belgrind's turn to be devastated. Belgrind and Velzard looked at each other, nodded, and started apologizing and begging with puppy eyes. WWE were joking, Rimuru. Yays, you can't take my lessons away from me. Belgrind complained. But after realizing what she said, she closed her mouth. Lessons. What kind of lessons? Rimuru asked, curious as he never heard of any lessons she would or could take. Nothing. Forget about it. Belgrind said, and they both continued apologizing. In the end, their punishment was lowered to 3 days, as Rimuru simply couldn't resist their puppy eyes. You're as soft as ever, master. Next time I'm not going to budge, promise. Rimuru said, but Seal, who knew Rimuru better than everyone, knew that he wouldn't be able to do it. Why Rimuru was punishing Velzard and Belgrind. After it was decided that Belgrind would permanently stay here, Guy asked Rimuru to take responsibility for it. He was declared as the mediator between the 2 dragon sisters and should prevent them from destroying the palace. At first, Rimuru didn't think that it would be much work for him, but Belgrind and Velzard were like cat and mouse, fighting all over the place. So he had to use little but effective punishments to keep them from fighting. Rimuru, I have some news for you. Guy. What is it? Rimuru. There is someone who wants to join us. Guy. Aren't you the leader? Do what you want, Rimuru. But he is an interesting fella, you know. Guy. How interesting. Rimuru. How interesting does fallen angel sound? Guy. Alright, I'm coming. Rimuru. Rimuru cut the thought communication and stood up. So, our lazy sleepyhead has come.